Kathleen, a Tuesday, start of the school year, hope. Isn't that what people need? Isn't that what we're
Yes.
looking for? I know I'm out in Phoenix right now and I'm meeting with schools, and it just feels like there's so much out there right now in terms of the work that you're doing that is so essential. And so I am so excited to present Kathleen Beachboard again to support the work that we're all trying to do out there. And as people are coming in, I see 30 participants. Please tell us where you're from.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you're hoping for this year? And as Kathleen kind of dives in, and I need to give you the ability to share your screen. So let me do that.
That's okay.
Just
Yeah.
really,
Where's everybody from?
yeah.
I'd love to know. And what's your experience with hope? Like, are you a beginner? Are you intermediate? Are you advanced? Because that's important for me to know. Because if this is brand new to you, I'm going to try to throw a little bit in there if we've got some beginners in here, but I don't want to throw too much because this is more of like a hope deep data dive, but some of it at least. Okay. So hold on. Let me
You
see.
have full reign. I'm Jeanette Simonson with Thrively. For those of you that haven't met me before, I'm going to take myself off screen because our guest of honor here is going to take over and give you guys hope and ideas, and super excited to learn from you as well. So take it away, Kathleen.
All right. So first, I'm excited to see everybody. I see people are putting stuff down. Yet once again, please use the chat feature. Jeanette, if you could monitor the chat and just let me know kind of, yeah, what's going on, I would appreciate that because it'll make my life way easier.
Yeah.
So once again, hi everybody. Super excited you guys are here. I'm going to be sharing a link. Hold on, let me grab it really quick in the chat of some of the items we're going to be going over today. For some of you, I see some of you have dealt with hope before. Woohoo, yay for you. Some of you are new. So this looks like it might be a mix. Hold on one second. Let me get the link to this. Hold on, guys. Just give me 1 second. It's computers being slow. You know how it is. I just got through a wonderful school day. All right. Let me get this in here. Hold on. It's copying the link. And I'm so excited everybody made it out today. I love spreading hope. And if you didn't know, I'm also the author of the School of Hope. And everything that I do, I actually utilize in my own classroom because I'm a teacher, author, and psychological researcher. So everything that you'll see today, you can utilize right away because I've made it so it's instantaneous for you. Okay. All right. Let me get this shareable link.
And I just did put in the chat also a feedback about the webinar. I know some people like to have that pulled up and ready to answer throughout the webinar, but certainly look at Kathleen's and I'll put it back in at the end.
Okay, so hold on 1 second, guys. I'm having technical difficulties. You know how it is. End of the school day, technical difficulties. Not surprised. All right. So hold on 1 second. All right. All right. So if you've seen my normal presentation where I go through a whole bunch of stuff that would include, you know, all the tools that I normally give out for the book and everything else, this is more than that, like a lot more. So we're going to be doing a deep data dive kind of to, like I said, to guide you, to help you. And so it's not going to include those components that I normally include or add in because I want to be able to do deep data dives. And if you brought your data with you, like I said, this is going to be kind of your thing. All right, so let me grab this because now it's working. Thank goodness. All right, Jeanette, now I'm going to share away. Here we go. Let me get in the chat. And it's nice to see everybody. So we've got different people. Some of you are beginners. Some of you are complete beginners. All right, so let me throw this in here. All right. All right. So guys, the reason I put that in the chat is this isn't a normal webinar where I just present and go, hey, blah, 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 here, this. This is a lot more like a make it, take it webinar. Okay. So I want you to actually click on that link so you can go, and I'm going to actually go to that same place where you guys are.
You want me to share it, Kathleen? Oh, you got it. Perfect.
There we go. Okay. So some of you are beginners. So I'm going to skip some of the things that I would normally do. Some of you are brand new. All of these resources are going to be available to you in one giant document, and I'll show you that here in a second. So first, empowering educators, leveraging student hope data. So like I said, I am a teacher, author, and psychological researcher. For those of you who, and I'll make this bigger because I know it's kind of hard to see. So I'm going to go to slideshow. There we go. And so I am in the classroom. I'm with students every single day on top of doing psychological research to help them. But my why for why I do the work that I'm doing, writing this book and doing all these extra things, is because of those 7 babies you see over there on the side. If you already heard the story, sit back and relax, because it's important people know your why when you start something. So I have 7 children. 5 I adopted out of a case of extreme abuse and neglect. They went through sexual abuse, physical abuse, drug abuse from their parents. My one daughter, the one who you see in the dark denim jacket, she has had the abuse so bad that she actually has cigarette butt burns on her back in the form of a happy face. Now, why I tell you this story is we assume that, hey, if I just form a good relationship, it's just gonna heal that, we'll be fine. And that is true. Good relationships do heal the brain from trauma. But what's really important is there's something that comes before that good relationship. And that's why we're here today. So essentially, before good relationships, what is it, that thing that comes before that? Psychological hope. And this is according to multiple research studies. So for my kids, when they came in and I was like newly married and I was so excited, my kids ran into the corner and started huddle hugging and crying. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't know what to do. So I literally stayed up that night, Google searching, how do you fix broken children? Because through all my trauma training as an educator and everything I knew, I couldn't help them. I couldn't get through to them. But it's because before someone forms a relationship, they have to have hope first. All right. So that's my why I do this work. But now let's look into the nitty gritty, why that is that hope comes first. So hope was actually the first emotion you ever learned. And I know some of you out there, the beginners, are like, wait, this looks familiar. Yeah. So in teacher college, when you had psychology for human development, this is Erikson's psychosocial stages of development. So as a baby, you cried and someone picked you up and they took care of you. Because they took care of you, you who are sitting in this webinar developed hope. And so we all have it. It is an equal opportunity resource that is not biased based off of anything. Every single person who is still alive has hope. But the amount of hope you have is critical for your success and your future, because hope, as you will see, ultimately impacts every single facet of your life, every single one. And so knowing that it impacts the relationships you form, the academic achievement and goals you set, knowing that it impacts you and how you necessarily act towards others, so that is amazing. And the craziest, most amazing thing is hope. Even though we have it, these stages, you can go in and out of them, as you see in psychology. So hope is something we have and it impacts us, but hope is it's purely nurture, meaning that it comes from our environment. So we can learn to have hope within 90 minutes of an intervention. So these kids who are struggling and been through trauma, like all of them, because we just went through and we're still going through a pandemic, on top of other things in this country, like fights for racial justice, political stuff, all of that stuff that you see in the news, it impacts our students. They're being impacted more so than any other kid in any other generation because of the constant bombardment through the media. And so thinking about this, because they're experiencing this, they're taking on more. And because of that, we need to focus in on hope, because hope in the human brain changes the brain for the better. So first, for those of you who are new to this, normally I give this as an assessment. I don't want to do this today because it's super long. But first thing you need to know, hope is measurable. New people? Yes, that's why Thrively is partnered with me. They have a way to take this test that was developed by Dr. Rick Snyder originally, and it's the HOPE assessment. This is a quick way to measure hope. This is the adult hope scale. So you can actually take this assessment yourself if you sign up for an account in Thrively, and it's free, okay? This is a free assessment you can take yourself. Normally, I have participants add it up, figure out their own hope level. I would love to do that today, but I'm skipping that because, like I said, you can do this for free. If you sign up for an account in Thrively, you can literally take the assessment. And it is a sliding scale, as I'll show you, I think, momentarily. Give it a minute. Go. That's the research. Skip ahead, skip ahead, skip ahead. There we go. Okay, so I want you to see what this looks like in Thrively. So this is the Children's Hope Scale that you see over here on the left. The Children's Hope Scale, unlike the Adult Hope Scale, it's shorter. Why? Because kids tend to not try to cheat psychological assessments. And these are research-based. I'm going to go back to the research in a minute. So this is what it looks like when they take the assessment. So I'm going to kind of mute it because I don't want you to hear my crazy voice showing the cool thing in Thrively. So it's a sliding scale. It's based off of a Likert scale. And the kid says, this is how I feel right now. Those of you who might be in like elementary grades, one of the ways that you can give this is just one-on-one. Have them come up and take it with you. That way, the reading is not a barrier in any way, shape, or form. So the kids take this assessment, okay? At the end, it gives them what their overall hope score minus the math. You don't need to do that. And it says, hey, this is where you're at. Here's your agency. Here's your pathways. Here's your overall hope score. And it color codes them for you. You can also, by clicking on this little button, track it longitudinally. So hope, first, it's measurable. And that's important because that's going to be an important component we talk about in a minute. So you give this hope assessment. Then what? Then you know someone's agency, pathways, and overall hope. So let's go back to that. Going backwards. There we go. So hope is a mix of three things for you beginners. Hope is a mix of your goals, what power, agency, willpower, and pathways. That's your way power. So goals, pathways, and agency combine together to form psychological hope. Now, if you've heard this story again, once again, ignore me. We're getting to the good part in about 4 minutes, where we're going to do this for the more advanced people who are in here. So Dr. Rick Snyder, he was the founder of hope theory. Unfortunately, he died. And when he died, a lot of his research died with him. I picked up the research where it left off because it's so important. Now, here's the most amazing thing. He wanted to prove what hope did to the entire world. So he went on Good Morning America on live TV to do a live science experiment. Now, he had the host of Good Morning America, the medical expert, and the weatherman all follow him into a small room. He came out with a small slip of paper, and then he told all three men they would be participating in the cold presser task. Now, I know that sounds fancy, but in psychology, the cold presser task just means you're going to stick your hand in icy water till it hurts so bad, you got to pull it out. So all three men on live TV stuck their hand in the icy water. After a few minutes, though, the weatherman, he couldn't stand it. He pulled his hand out. So the host and the medical expert were going eye to eye, and they started doing that man speak like, you can't do it. Yes, I can. But the host turned around and noticed Dr. Snyder wasn't even watching. He was like, Dr. Snyder, what? You wanted to do this experiment? You're not even watching? And Dr. Snyder didn't respond. After a few minutes, though, the medical expert couldn't stand it. He pulled his hand out. Now, remember, it's live TV. Then the host said, I'm going to leave my hand in here till the end of the break. And he did. And when he pulled his hand out, he turned around with a cold hand that was blue and white from the ice. And he said, Dr. Snyder, what does hope have to do with icy water and my winning? That's when Dr. Snyder opened the paper and he said, before I gave you this task, I had measured each one of your hope levels, and hope accurately predicted, this is why I didn't watch, that you would come in first, he would come in second, and he would come in third. And he's like, how does that happen? And that's when Dr. Snyder said, hope does
not take away the trials we will face. What hope does do is it allows us to set a goal, a way to get there, and a plan for it so that we can accomplish the tasks we set for ourselves. It doesn't take away what we're going through, but it helps us get through. That's what hope does. It is literally our resilience. Whoa. And it didn't get into public education. That's crazy. It blows my mind. So now I want to do a quick review of kind of like a deep dive for the data. Now, I saw most of you are on this presentation. First, this is research-based, heavily research-based. So I want you to kind of see the research right now. First, this slide, it's like a snapshot of some of the research studies. I have a present for you. I don't have time to go through all the research. Right now, if you even go to Google Scholar and look up hope, education, you're going to get about 4,000 results. What? Yeah, this is deeply researched. And the craziest thing is, up here, Camp Hope is an intervention. Our Justice Department for the federal government knows hope works. What? Yeah. So this camp, essentially, if you read this study, which I'm going to give you all the studies. So this camp exists for parents of children, okay, or children of parents who are incarcerated. All they do at this summer camp is they measure and raise hope, psychological hope. And do you know they have a success rate of 99% that that child will never be incarcerated just by raising their hope high in one summer? Hope is malleable within 90 minutes of an intervention. So if you want the bang for your buck, a lot of our kids who, one, aren't coming to school, two, push work away because, oh, it's too hard. Those kids who are doing those actions or maybe acting out because they don't want to do the work and it's work avoidance. Why are they feeling like that? Because they're hopeless. Let that sink in. And so knowing that we can intervene on this, we can give them that drive and motivation because agency, that's willpower. We're measuring it with hope. And pathways, that's how you get there. We're doing this together. So this shows that this is a big key we've been lacking in public education. And when you even look at these studies, hope uniquely predicts academic achievement above intelligence, personality, and what you've done previously academically. Hope, that's right, because it helps us just like it helped the Good Morning America host to get through it. And that's what the research shows. So first thing, for those of you who are on this presentation, you're welcome to click on this link. What's this link? It's a giant folder of what Hope does for students and what it does for staff. What? Yeah, that's why my book's called The School of Hope. You can't just raise one without raising the other. And it's important that we have hopeful climates for teachers. Why? Because then they thrive. And when they thrive, students thrive too. So you're welcome to go into this folder. And when I said, I'll show you really quick that it's really big, lots of data, you guys can even look at these studies. But for the sake of time, I want to keep going. It's opening up slowly, very, very slowly. Okay. It's there. It exists. You guys can, like I said, you're free to open up the link. But I wanted you to have the research to know that I'm not just saying this is research-based. This is deeply research-based on all of the impact it has on students with disabilities, English as a second language learners, students with different socioeconomic classes. All of this is research. Hope has an impact. And we've known this and we see it over and over again in the research. But here's the biggest one. Hope is neuroscience. When I say neuroscience, it impacts the brain. This is an fMRI brain scan of a high hope high school student who they put in an fMRI brain scanner. So for this experiment, they wanted to see what hope had an impact on anxiety or stress. So what they did is they put these kids in these brain scanners, they found out their hope levels, and they tried different things. Basically, they tried to scare them, to make them feel anxious, to have cortisol bursting through their brain, where normally they would go into an amygdala response. That's your fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and flop response. A lot of F words, not the bad one. So the kids in these brain scanners, here's the most amazing thing. The high hope kids' brains, they were different. So look at that little blue dot. That blue dot on the medial orbital frontal cortex of this student. What's going on is as they're in the brain scanner and they're feeling that stress, they still have cortisol in their brain. They're still stressed. But just like the host of Good Morning America, they are able to think and process their goals and what they're trying to do. And that trumps that fear, fight, fawn, flop response. Yes, they're able to think as they're feeling this. So it helps them pull through. That's how it changes the brain. When we get kids to high hope, they're able to think so they can get through. And that's the most amazing thing, because in order to learn, you have to go through scary things. It's called the zone of proximal development. And you got to put yourself out there, because when you learn something, you don't know if you're going to get it right away. And that's kind of scary if you think about it, especially for someone who's been through trauma. So that fear is what we're seeing over and over again with work avoidance, or even trying it and then stopping. Why? Because they've reached the scary part. So now that you know it impacts the brain when we get people to high hope, let's do the deep data dive. Deep data dive? Yes. So this is an example of what you will get inside Thrively once you have students do the hope assessment. And once again, it is trackable over time. You don't want to give this assessment every day because it loses its impact. So essentially, this test should be given quarterly to make sure that what you're doing is working, just like anything else. And so this is an example of someone giving this assessment at different points of the year. Now, interesting thing, as you can look at this data, certain times of the year are more stressful for kids, and it's going to skew the data just a little bit. For example, December. Why? Because they're going home. And some kids, they don't want to be home on break. It's a scary place, or it's just not them. And the same thing in April. That's another time. Ooh. Because of those breaks. So you might want to avoid giving it during those breaks. But anyway, basically every time there's essentially a report card or near it, you would want to give this assessment. So this kid right here, when you look at it overall, their hope, it's moderate. It's not bad, but it's not high. And so this child right here, when you get this data and you look at their overall hope, what could be done? So first, you're going to see that their agency and pathways are kind of similar, but you're also going to notice specifically that their pathways is a little bit lower over the course of time than their agency. That's the blue line over here. Okay, so for those of you who've given the hope assessment, this is where we're going to go into specifically a plan of action and looking at the tools available. For you new people who have no experience with this, I'm giving you a ton of tools. Really? Because this is not a program. Everyone has this. You just need to find the tool that'll work for the lower area to raise it up, like any test. Okay, so this kid's low in pathways. You can see that right here. You can see that blue line over time. It's a little bit lower than the agency line. So you want to start with the lowest line. So if we raise that lowest line up a little, it's going to raise their overall hope. Wait a minute, where's the goals? I knew someone would think of that. So agency and pathways is measured by the hope assessment. That's your willpower, and that's your ability to problem solve. Where's the goal score? Goals are something everyone has, just like hope. Just like you had goals like, I'm going to go to this webinar. I'm going to check it out, see if I can do this. Great, that was your goal. But hope impacts the type of goals you set. So by strengthening someone's goals, you're actually strengthening their agency and their pathways. Oh, so it's like a 2-for-1 combo. Yeah, boom, boom. All right, so looking at this data, what could I do for this kid? All right, so we're going to do a deep dive. I'm going to skip ahead. All right, first, if you guys are on this slide right here, I have another slide, and I see people chatting. If you have questions, Jeanette, if you could just throw out any of the questions that you have, and feel free to just be interrupt me. And yeah.
Oh,
you
great
can get.
questions. We're asking how to get the hope test. And so I shared that information. Slide 4 for anybody who wants to see the hope test, if you joined us late, is on there. Plus you can go to thrively.com, but we'll make sure you have all the links.
And the hope assessment, if you go to Thrively, you sign up on their dashboard. As soon as you sign up just for yourself, you can take the hope assessment for yourself. It's one of the 3 things. I think it's towards the bottom. You just click on it. You can take it yourself. You can assign it to your students. So the first thing is, what can I do to help this kid in my class who I've given the hope assessment? This is where they're at. Okay, first thing.
Most of you, if you are a teacher like me, you might have a seating chart. I have one because I have flexible seating. It's called their butt seat. So they go there to sit down and do their warm up. And then when we're doing active learning, they move around the room. That butt seat is super important. And I do it strategically. Why? Because first, I look at my hope data. The first thing you need to know is hope is contagious over the course of time. So I find out who those high hope kids are. Now, you notice that one kid just a few minutes ago, he went up and down, right? That's because he was at medium hope. Medium and low hope kids, their hope's going to fluctuate. High hope kids, it's stable. What? No. Yes, you'll see this. Your high hope kid, that line is just going to go straight across. Why is that? It's because when we reach high hope, we create a neural pathway in our brain for that hope, and it stabilizes in the brain. What? Yeah. So those high hope kids, this is what you do. First, find out who they are, seat them around the low hope kids, and over the course of 6 to 8 weeks, just by using a seating chart, which you probably already have, and you just did randomly, use science instead. You're going to raise the low hope of those students just by saying, hey, turn and talk to your partner, because they're going to get hope thinking as they talk and interact with this other student over the course of time. They're going to learn it because remember, it's a learnable skill. And we as humans, we learn things just by watching. All right. So that's the first thing. So one, use the hope in the room strategically. Then if you want a targeted intervention, here are some tools for you. So we're going to click on this thing that says visual summary of tools. Hold on. It's popping up. This one I'm going to wait for because I created this visual summary for all of you. So you kind of had like a plan of action on how you could use what you've just did to impact students. All right, it's loading. Woohoo! Yay! All right, so first you'll notice that on this first page, it says goals, pathways, and agency. And what it does is those 3 areas are the 3 areas that you can impact. So now if you go to slide 2 on this one, because I know some of you, you're starting to follow me. All right. So on this one, there we go. There's everybody. Okay. So first, if a kid is low in agency, all right, you can go to the agency column over here. And here are some tools to help that child with agency. The first one is a pre-commitment contract. Now you'll notice that they're active links. Why is that? This is a free make it, take it thing provided by Thrively because they want to spread hope right here. So these tools, once again, these are given to you free through this webinar from Thrively. So this first one is a pre-commitment contract. So if you click on these links, it's going to force a copy in your Google Drive, and you can even click make a copy of this entire presentation, and it's yours, and you'll never lose it. And then as the author of the book, The School of Hope, I give you my unending ability to modify or change any of these to fit your classroom and fit your needs. You're welcome. Okay. So these are some of the tools that are in my book that are specifically for these facets. So pre-commitment contract, your kids who are lacking agency, they tend to, okay, I'm going to do this thing, and they don't plan for problems. Most hopeful people, they're not. And being hopeful doesn't mean you're optimistic. Sometimes hopeful people are actually pessimistic, and that's okay because they set and say, what's the worst thing that could happen? Okay, I'm going to plan for it. And that's what pre-commitment is. It's teaching that valuable skill that that person has. It doesn't matter whether you're an optimist or a pessimist. Planning for your worst day on your best day helps you avoid things when you pre-commit. So this pre-commitment contract says, all right, what is it you want to pre-commit to? So let's say you say, hey kids, I want you to pre-commit to study for this test. Don't tell a person who's low in agency to just pre-commit. They need support. This is someone who lacks intrinsic motivation. So pre-commitment means, hey, as your teacher, I support you. Let's sit down and do a contract of the things that might get in your way while you're studying. Okay, well, I have an Xbox in my room. I'll probably want to play that. Great. Let's not study in your room. I would do better if I study with my friend down the street. Great. Then go do that. You're teaching them the skills that they're lacking that will make them a successful student. You can already see this. And I know I've got some people in the chat already like, yeah, you can see this because it works. It's teaching them the skill on how to pre-commit. Another one, this is a big one.
a lot of you are educators and you provide lessons to students. Did you know you can build in intrinsic motivation? Yeah. So there was a beautiful book, not by me. You can also check it out. It's called Drive by Daniel Pink. It's about increasing intrinsic motivation in the workforce, but the same concept applies to kids in a classroom. So there are three things, according to self-determination theory, that increase intrinsic motivation. And once again, you can click on these and take this tool. The first one that it is really impactful is the built-in lesson engagement tool. And what you do is there are three parts of it. There is relatedness, which is making me feel needed in a lesson. Needed? Yeah. Then there's looking at overall your ability to have voice and choice, which is agency, and then also competence, the ability to try and try again, like mastery learning. So these things, if you build them into the lesson, it makes you more successful. Now, there are all of these tools, okay? So there's a whole bunch here that you can go through, you can look at. I want to give you all of these are free. There are even some that I threw in for staff. I would love to go through all of these, but we have like about a minute left, and I know I've only tipped the iceberg, but for those of you who are here, really quick, going back to the original presentation, because I'm going to give you all of these. If you're saying, hey, I'm an OG, like I'm the original Hope person, I've been doing this in Thrively a while, I've got an extra present for you. This is the Student Hope Score, Record, and Plan of Action worksheet. So what this does is it has you look at those tools, say, hey, this is what we tried. Here is how we're going to progress monitor. Here is a brief explanation of their strength according to data. Here is what we're working, and here's their new score. If you progress monitor Hope, you're going to see that it has an impact not just on the kid, but on their grades, their attendance, and their behavior. I promise you, this is at the heart of all of those things. Grade, attendance, behavior. Why? Because all those things are affected by your psychological hope. All of them. You can look in the research folder. Now, I know we're done, and I know I didn't get to all of them, but here's the thing. I am here for you. I have a book out that goes through this. You can Google search my name and Hope webinar. You can see other webinars I've done going through all the tools if you're new to this, but I'm here for you. I even at the very end of this, my email is kathleenbeachboard@gmail.com. Feel free to reach out. Feel free to look at the book. Feel free to connect to Thrively because the team here, we've been doing Hope work big time. This is the missing link. It's the reason my school that I got put at has increased its scores, okay, from being in the review for the state to, oh, now they're passing. I'm telling you, it works over and over again. Notice I said put at because I'm here and what I do, it works. It works over and over again. Just try it. You'll see. And I'm here for you. And so's Thrively.
Kathleen, awesome. We have a question in the chat. Hello, Erin. Nice to see you on this. She's
Hi.
doing incredible work with her students over at Horizon, but do you have any guidance about where to start with a student? I know that will be case by case, but is there a structure interview or something that will help us know what to try first with a student? That's one of the questions.
First thing that you can do with a student is find a student who is high in hope, not just in the classroom, but give them a student mentor. And I know that seems like, what? Yes, because if you have a student mentor who is interwoven or even chosen to be in those classes, who's going with them and that's their buddy, that's their like first line of defense, because kids are more likely to open up and talk to someone else. That first line of defense is one of the most impactful things that you can do right away, is creating that buddy system and even opening up the community, having them do service learning out in the community with high hope individuals, because not only does that help them here, but it helps them set a goal for out in the community of something they might be passionate about, which sparks hope.
I love that. Excellent. Thank you everybody for joining today and for staying on a few minutes later. We are happy to stay on and answer individual questions.
Oh, yes, I would be.
Mute. We like human interaction. And keep the questions coming, but we will absolutely be following up with an email with the webinar recording, with all of the resources and the web links. Please take a minute if you're still on, fill out the certificate. You'll get a certificate in your email, but there's a form in here to let us know how we're doing and what else we can do to follow up with supporting you. So please unmute or
Yep.
throw in the chat any questions you have.
Yep, this is your time to shine. And like I said, I'm here to answer all of your questions, whether you're a beginning person, middle, medium, I'm here for this now.
And I did put the School of Hope link in there. Great. Rick, go ahead, take it away. If you want to unmute, or do you want to throw it in the chat?
I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Ooh.
See, I saw his hand go up. Maybe it was by mistake. Got excited. I wanted to talk to somebody.
You're welcome. Like I said, if you guys want anything else, like I said, reach out. The book's available on Corwin. You can get an extra discount if you go on there and use the discount code that's posted up there. But yes, question, go for it.
Is that me, Vilma?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I'm at a computer science virtual academy, Los Angeles Unified. A lot of the times the students, we don't have a seating arrangement, obviously, right? They don't want to turn their cameras on. Very difficult other than participation, I guess those, once I assess, but it's hard to tell and measure hope just by their dark screens. Any ideas?
So first, remember the hope assessment. Like you could send this to your virtual kids and make them take it outside of class. That's the first thing. Then the second thing is, I don't know if you ever do breakout rooms or anything like that.
Yes, we do breakout rooms all the time.
Good. So your breakout rooms, instead of just letting it randomly pair them, once you get that hope assessment data, first thing you can do, because there's actually a school that we work with through Thrively called Georgia Cyber Academy. You can connect to them. I love connecting people, but they're completely virtual and they're raising hope right now and they're seeing impact sizes. So the first thing you can do is in your breakout rooms, anytime you do it, make sure that you have a high hope kid or a higher hope kid in the room with a lower hope kid on purpose. Don't let Zoom randomly do it, because then when they're talking about the content, they're raising hope levels. And then the second thing is those intervention things. Those are things that you can just pull and like use in class, like using the lesson planning chart with intrinsic motivation, that'll help that kid. Or if they run into a problem, say, hey guys, when you run into a problem, ask 3, then me. That's developing pathway thinking. What can you do before you come to me with a problem? And teaching them to rely on the social trust of each other. So part of the reason they're afraid to turn their cameras on, whether you know it or not, that's also usually I'm scared.
Yes.
I'm terrified.
Yes.
I don't want to put myself out there. And so as you raise the hope levels, this is the craziest thing. And you'll notice this, that those kids who are higher in hope are the ones who are more likely to speak right away. They're more likely to turn their camera on. Yes. And more likely to volunteer. And why is that? Because they have hope. And as you start spreading it strategically, even just through a breakout room, you're going to notice more kids volunteering.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Great ideas.
Great questions. We have a live question from Judy. How do we get buy-in from administration to give us permission to schedule this in our day? Boy, Judy, I've been in schools today, and that time and administration buy-in is the question. Fabulous.
Judy, that's an amazing question. And that one is actually easy. So administrators are driven by data and they want something that's research-based, research validated, and it works. I just provided you with a research folder that if you take that, throw it in front of the principal and say, hey, she sent us some 96-ish studies on what it does for staff and students. Why don't you just take a look? You're going to see that your principal goes, oh my gosh, this is like amazing. And just because you are providing that research, don't say it's research-based, should we do this? If you provide them the proof, the evidence that it works, any administrator worth their salt, when you look in that research folder, is going to be curious. And they are welcome to come here and you can be like tag team with Thrively and say, hey, get them up in here on this, because our goal is to spread this mission. Well-being. If you take care of someone's well-being, you have to Maslow before you bloom. Okay. It's true. You've heard that expression and they know that, but they don't know how to do that.
This is a measurable way to say, hey, this kid is now thriving. And that is what we use. We use the strength of our school to become stronger. We don't do other stuff, okay? We have to use what we have to get better. And when you do, you don't look for outside PDers like Kathleen Beachboard. Use the strength, the psychological strength we have, and you can make each other stronger. It's kind of like right now, it's the end of the day, and I'm like this. I haven't even had coffee. I'm a high hope individual. You can sense it. And just by being here in this webinar, you want to try it. That's why you should do it. Push your administration, show them the data, show them that whole folder and say, look, I went to this crazy thing. It's amazing. I want to try it. And you're going to get buy-in.
Fantastic.
Anybody else?
Yes,
Yep.
Erin, another great question. Will the pairing of students with high hope and low hope be effective even in a more social situation rather than a
Yes.
structured academic or project-based activity?
Yeah. So for example, one of the examples I can give you is that we have students who go out and do service learning in the community. So I make sure that while they're doing these things with large groups of people, that high hope person is intermixed in the group. Again, just as long as they have access to that person, even for a few minutes, because they're seeing them consistently every day. It's like doing a little bit of exercise. If you look at the research on exercise and hope, they're kind of similar in a lot of ways. If you do it every single day, you're going to see an impact. It might take longer, sometimes if it's a smaller amount, but you will still see that impact. You will still gain strength. You will still gain hope. Anybody else? I'm here for you.
Yes,
Yay.
one more. Rick, he's a psychologist. Excellent. You guys could
Yay.
probably banter back and forth a lot, but please address
Oh my God.
strategies for students who experience autism when
Okay.
what's especially meaningful or hopeful for him or her or them is restrictive and repetitive.
Okay, so what you just mentioned, so hope for people with autism, especially depending on what type, because remember, it is a spectrum. So on that, for those kids, remember how I said that consistency, like seeing that person every day, whether you know it or not, a lot of the hopeful practices have to be done over and over and over again, which one supports that consistency that helps them gain trust in their environment and also helps them feel safe, calm, etc. So one, doing these things, these strategies, you don't want to just be like random strategy, random tool. You want to do whatever it is consistently, provide them that person over the course of time. And you're going to notice the structure, make it like, hey, we're going to do this every single day. First, when you have a problem, what are the things we're going to brainstorm? Teaching them to brainstorm what to do for a problem, that's probably not what they normally do. So initially, I'm going to be honest, you'll have to break whatever their pattern is and say, hey, we're going to brainstorm. Teaching a child to brainstorm instead of just saying, here's my solution. It's going to help them develop new pathways. So for a kid who might have autism, who's low in hope, and they need to develop pathways, doing that consistently with them. Any of these practices over and over and over is going to provide them with the ability to, one, raise their hope, and you'll see a measurable raise in it, but two, it'll also support them. Okay, so it's both. And I do have some students, because I teach in a collaborative environment, that are both of those, and it works. The key is consistency.
Well, lots of great questions today. And I wanted to share something that was shared in the chat, which the question was, socially, can we, spread this hope? Every time I do a webinar with you, I'm at the end of the day, I'm tired and I am ready to go charge. I mean, my hope levels just went up even though they were high before. And I think one of our participants put in here, thank you so much for sharing your occupation. I love that. You are contagious, and I'm so grateful for what is about to happen with our staff and students and rippling out into our families and community. That's it right there, everybody. Keep surrounding yourselves. Find your Kathleen Beachboard to talk to every day. If I could talk to you every day, I think, oh my gosh, and I'm going to.
And that self-care plan, remember, goals strengthens agency and pathways. We do fire drills for fires, tornado drills for tornadoes. Having your kid fill out their own self-care plan helps them plan for their worst day on their best day. And it's actually a plan created by them. So it'll support them in the way that they feel cared for and loved. That's another thing. You're
That's good.
welcome, guys.
So all of you who are still here and all of you listening, after this is over, you can be contagious too, just as Kathleen is, and you're going out and you're spreading this hope. It really impacts, and it's measurable as Al
Yes.
said here.
Dive into the research, guys. I gave you all of it. Start Googling it. I'm just another expert in the room. There's lots of expertise out there. Dive into everything out there, and you're going to see why this is changing schools.
Absolutely. So everyone have a great rest of your week. Thank you, Kathleen, for being
Bye,
here.
guys.
You just made my day, he said. So thank you for always being available. Kathleen Beachboard at gmail.com. Corwin has her School of Hope book. Is there any discounts, anything? I know you had some codes. I'm not sure if those are applicable.
I don't even remember. It's on the Corwin website. Whatever the code is, as soon as you go there, you'll see it at the top. Use that code and you'll get a major discount. So it's like, it's not even, it says it's like $32. It really isn't, guys. I promise. Use the discount code at the top of the website on Corwin. It's bet cheaper than Amazon. Pro tip.
Absolutely. So use that and please reach out. We're going to have more webinars with Kathleen coming up in the next couple of months. So stay tuned for more links to that. And everybody have a fantastic day. Enjoy your students and your staff. And thank you, Kathleen, again. We'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.